Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Sam Betts. Sam is an engineer. He's an operational petroleum and reservoir engineer. I'll let you explain to everybody a little more what that is. He's also an angel investor. He helps people with startups, and he helps with investor due diligence. Sam, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Can you let our listeners know a little bit about you and just a little bit about what all those hats that you wear, what you do with all those different things?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot going on there. And I think the best way to run through that is to start right back at the start of my career and run forward sort of how all those things sort of got added in. And started off studying petroleum engineering at the University of New South Wales in Australia. After graduating, went into drilling, kind of like a landman as well in Australia, which was a lot of fun. But from there, I moved on and went into petroleum engineering, where I looked at production and production optimization. So we started with drilling the well, and then now I'm looking at, after it's drilled, how do we actually produce it, get the most money from that?
Squeeze the most juice out of it. Squeeze the most oil out of it, I guess is better.
Yeah, that's right. Oil or gas.
Yeah.
And then from there, went into reservoir engineering. And reservoir engineering is an interesting role. It's kind of like a central role between the drillers, the production, and the geology and geophysics. And they work with all those teams to come up with the best way to develop and produce the fields so that you're getting the most out of it. And you're designing infill drilling, where you drill, how you drill, how you complete it, in conjunction with all the other teams.
Very neat. Yeah, just the science that goes behind the extraction and the exploration is fascinating. I mean, I've read a book a long time. It's been a while, The Big Rich. Talk about the 5 big families in Texas that I think that, struck it, and just, it goes back to the old days where they just kind of went out there and felt whatever their gut told them, that's where they decided to drill. And then I think at some point when they found everything out in West Texas, it's just drill a hole as close and just wherever you could get the next one and get it out, there for a while. It was just, it was insane. What fascinated me about those guys is how many of them, names now that own major sports leagues or big, like I live in Fort Worth, and the Bass family, that how there were times where they had a lot of money and lost it all, sleeping in the ditch of the grass, of the out by a well with not even 2 nickels in their pocket. But then they built it back up, and now there's multiple buildings and hospitals named after them, all around Fort Worth where I live. It's like knowing that you can lose everything to the point where you don't even have a place to sleep, and then, keep fighting and build back up to extreme wealth. So it's fascinating, the journey of some of those families.
It's very fascinating. And for most of my career, I've worked globally. I've been in Texas now for about going on 5 years now. And Texas is one of the only places in the world where you can do that in oil and gas. Most places, you're looking at big business to get into oil and gas. And then my career has mostly been offshore drilling as well, rather than onshore.
Okay.
So
That's even bigger.
Offshore,
You
you're
got to
talking
you're
huge
going
money.
down a mile below the water. How deep is a typical well? The water part, not the drilling part.
Yeah, so it really depends where in the world you're drilling. It can be as shallow as 10 feet,
Oh, wow.
but it can be as deep as 4,000 or more feet.
Wow, that's just fascinating. Are those, now we're going to get off on a tangent here. Are those floating, or do they somehow get a structure to fix the rig down to the ground, down to the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, so starting onshore, if it's shallow water, they can use basically jack up drilling rig, where it's actually touching the seabed and sitting on the seabed. And then once you get further out, then you go to floating. But then in certain areas, once it's too deep, you then have to go tension leg, where you have kind of like a floating rig, but it's tied down to the seafloor with tension.
Interesting, because that's just fascinating. Because I mean, the ocean's moving all the time, so your stem is going to be that. Just the science behind that's fascinating. That they can even hit and stay on point is fascinating to me. And not we don't have the time to go into the science of that, but I find it just the physics and the lining everything up has got to be just amazing to figure
Yeah,
out the
when I
science
first
to do that.
started, yeah, when I first started going into the offshore industry, talked with a subsea engineer, and he said it's easier to do things on the moon than it is on the bottom of the ocean at those depths.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and I just wonder early on how much equipment was lost just trying to figure out how to get down there and do it. Neat stuff. Well, in the engineer, to become an engineer and then to get into special engineering, I'm sure there's lots of competition. What's something that's helped set you apart and help you to have the success that you've had and lead to where you're at? What's something that that you've been able helped you to be able to achieve what you've been able to achieve?
yeah. Well, so in that early career stage, as an engineer, I worked nearly 80 hours a week for basically 10 years. And that's double the average year. So when I worked 2 years in drilling, working 80 hours a week, that means I worked effectively the same as someone who did 4 years of
Yeah,
experience. And then when I did 2 years of petroleum engineering, well, I worked 80 hours a week. That gave me effectively 4 years of experience. Then I went into reservoir engineering in those first couple of years, 80 hours a week. So I had 6 years of experience, but I'd effectively worked 12. And so, but then by the time I had, what was it? Yeah, about 7, 8 years of experience. So it was effectively sort of 15, 16 years of experience that I accumulated from working all that extra time. And that allowed me to go expat and work throughout Southeast Asia for a few years. And that's where
fascinating.
I
So
worked
you
with a startup oil and gas company in Thailand.
Okay, and that's kind of when you started getting the startup and the that side, different side of it.
Well, it was actually after that. So
Okay,
that company had a lot of success and then sold, and that put me in a pretty good financial position at that point. And the one of the lessons I learned from that, from the managing director of the office there, he said, hire great people, let them do their work, and pay them really well. And then every time we asked to bring someone, or the team asked to bring someone else on to do a different portion or help in a certain area, he would always say, well, the bonus pool isn't getting any bigger. So when you bring that person on, do you want to share your bonus pool with them or not? Or do you want to just do the extra work? And more often than not, people go, well, actually, I can just do a bit of extra work and get that done myself.
oh yeah, well, motivating. Yeah, finances can motivate people in more ways, lots of strong ways. So, was there something that you found came easy to you that others might have found challenging along your path?
Um, what came easy to me? I mean, I worked for it. It's just putting in the work ethic and the consistent work to and the pursuit of learning different things. So I don't think anything came easy as such.
Just
Uh,
you,
it-
well, and I think it sounds like you're somebody, if you're working 80 hours a week, that's willing to, just put your nose to the grindstone and work hard and really focus and just be motivated and driven. That's, something but I think that's probably something is just a little bit I've got to know you that came easy is that you were willing to work hard and extra hours, maybe when others were either wanted to rest or go out and party and do some of those different things that if you're working 80 hours a week, you don't have much time for a lot of hobbies and fun stuff. It's you're grinding.
no, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, and part of that would be probably the goal setting. I had some very great mentors in my early years who taught me how to set up some goals, look forward, what do I want to achieve, and really that gives you the drive. It's hard to make those sacrifices to do that extra work, and you got to have a reason to do that, and be able to continuously focus on that reason, and put in the work to achieve those goals.
Yeah,
And
it's
but what's more is those goals can evolve with time. Life changes, and we decide we want
mature.
different things, and so constantly reevaluating to make sure that what I'm aiming for is also what's driving me to achieve these things.
Very nice. It sounds like goal setting has been big in your life. Is there some way that, if our listeners want to learn more about how to set effective goals, or, even set goals at all, do you have any tips or tricks or education, anything along those lines that you've used that they could maybe utilize?
Yeah, well, one thing I mentioned there is the reason. What is the reason for
Or
that
why?
goal? And that sort of starts with what are your dreams? What do you want to achieve in your life? And when you sit down to sort of figure out what are some things that you want, everyone sort of starts with, oh, I'd love to own my own house. I want the car. I want to the basic necessities. And so what I say, and what I was taught was try to write out 100 different dreams and goals of things that you want to
Wow.
achieve, because after you get through the first 10, 20, that's sort of the necessities. Then you really start thinking, okay, well, what else do I want to do with my life after you've got those things?
No, that I like that. I've not heard the 100 goals. I wrote that down. I'm gonna work on that myself and with my kids. Like, yeah, because you get through your first 10, 20. We're probably all hitting kind of some of the same stuff in there: home, cars, travel with your family, time. But then you start getting in, you especially you start getting past 50 and 75. You're having to dig and really think too. Some things that you may not have ever even thought to set us a goal or to strive to be able to do. So I think that can really get you focusing on some things you may have never thought of. Love
Absolutely,
it.
yeah. And they can be things, they don't have to be work related. They don't have to be, the many goals revolve around family, but it can be, you should have some goals in each of those areas, but
Mhm.
also, you can come up with goals in completely different areas. So one goal that I had and still have, I'm still working towards it, is to make my own game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like a video or like on the phone or
Yeah, like a phone game or a computer
okay.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I love it. That's something that uh, I bet you'll achieve it one day. Just keep working at it.
I'm sure
So
I will. Yeah, it's
it's
just a
that
matter
we
of then once you have all those goals, what's the priority? What is the priority? Now that goal isn't a goal priority that I'm going to achieve this year, but it's on my list, so it's on my mind, and it might be next year, it might be in 5 years, but at least at some point in my life, I'll achieve it because that's what I'm aiming to achieve.
Well, and you're probably picking up little bits. You may not, if you wanted to start today, you may not have all the wisdom or knowledge you need, but in a year and in 5 years, you'll have picked up other pieces of information along the way and ideas and creativity that you don't have today. So, those things just kind of file them away in that file cabinet for game as cool. Well,
That's
what's one of the
exactly,
biggest
and then being receptive to when that sort of opportunity comes up, like
oh, yeah.
maybe walk by someone or something that's advertising a game development, something around game development. Now I actually noticed that, whereas so much of the world that we experience, we it's not really what we're focused on, and it just sort of goes by and we miss it.
Yeah, that's very good because I probably wouldn't pick up on game development if there was a billboard or an ad on something. I may just go right by it because that's the reticular activating says when something kind of gets in front of your mind or in thoughts, but you get it out there. So good stuff. So what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career or your path to where you're at now?
Yeah, well, that's the perfect question for this point in going through my career because shortly after the company that I was working for in Thailand sold, my health actually started to decline, and I was misdiagnosed for several years actually. My health declined to the point where I could barely walk 10 feet, and I was
Oh wow.
hospitalized. And then still working through that. It's much better than it was then, clearly, but at one point, the doctors had said that I may never actually recover to the point where I'd be able to work again.
Oh wow. Well, thank praise God that you've got to where you can.
Absolutely. And so being able to overcome these health challenges has definitely been one of the most challenging things I've had to do. But it's also very highly motivated to overcome it. When it comes to your health, there's not much else that's more important.
No, I've heard that saying. What if you're unhealthy, that's the only focus. If you're in your sick bed or something like that, you know, work, and family probably falls in there, but your goals get a lot more shifted to getting your health back. Because without health, you can't invent a game. You can't be a great engineer. You got to have your health to take care of all those things. So it's why it's important. And as I'm hit my 50s, those things that I wish I had that wisdom in my 20s and 30s when you know weren't making I wasn't making bad choices, but probably would have made some different dietary and granted. And even nowadays, though, we know a lot more about the things I grew up as a kid that ate sugar cereal. It was like whatever the cereals now that my kids have they get on a special treat. That was our breakfast almost every morning. Some kind of sugary cereal. But
Yeah.
we can't undo it. We just got to go with what where we are now and try to improve. Well, that it's good stuff. So congratulations. Sounds like things are going really well in your business, and it's a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners or executives. Get further along in their career, they start considering different ways to create income because right now you probably have to work to make the income, and so as have progressed, have you ever had any thoughts of getting involved in any kind of passive income or investments at where you're not really involved, but you've got uh, uh, income coming in some way?
Yeah, so was initially geared up for that type of income and have some of that, of course. But then after that point where I got sick, that's when I got into investing in startups.
No, you're
And that,
doing that, yeah, with your startups. That's basically passive. Well, I mean,
it's
if
it's
you're involved in it, you're not passive, but you could be.
it's reasonably passive, yes.
Hmm.
Um, Once you make the investment, it's passive. But it's quite active actually to find a good investment and the right investment in that space. But Um, what happened was when I got sick, and the doctors told me I might never work. Shortly after that, a startup for the first time had asked me to invest, and evaluated that industry and realized it's crazy to invest in any one startup and expect it to work. You have to make a portfolio of them.
Hmm.
If you want to invest larger amounts of money, and actually do it properly. Um, and so sort of figured, well, if I'm not going to be able to work, backing people who can work sounds like a really good idea.
Now, what a wisdom to have that I knowledge to pivot and get out there and do it to be able to and to have the drive. There's some people like, oh, I'm throwing my hands up and not going to do anything because things are not going the way I want. But I think being somebody that grinds and works, you're like, all right, that I got a different hand of my cards here right now. How can I make the best of them, and what can I do to go forward? So that's what a motivation for people that are listening. Just know you're probably going to hit rough spots in your life and challenges. It's how you handle them and move forward that defines your success and just your life. Because very few people make it through life with no challenges. Almost none,
Absolutely.
probably.
Absolutely. And being able to adapt and reset goals. So back when I was in oil and gas, working as an engineer, in the early days, I never thought, oh, I want to become an angel investor and invest in a whole bunch of businesses. It never crossed my mind. But now that I'm here, I'm really glad that I have and have had that opportunity. It's a lot of fun. Uh,
Well, that you don't want to wish for challenges or health issues, but would you have would you have gone down the path you're going down if you hadn't been kind of knocked down a little bit from the health challenges, got your focus in a different direction? So, you know, it's sometimes those challenges. I don't want to wish anything on anybody, but they can really help you lead to different paths of life.
Yeah, and then during that period, it gave me the opportunity to study and learn new things. Learning about so with the early stage startups, a lot of that is business and learning about business and business skills. And sure, I've done a Masters of Commerce when I was younger to go with the engineering as well. But you don't really learn business by studying it. You really have to do it.
Getting them for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Is that a Master's of Commerce? That's an MBA or something kind of
Yeah,
equivalent in
kind
the
of like an
U.S.
MBA, yeah.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Well, as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months?
So right now I'm facing another one of these health challenges. So I actually found out that I have kidney damage.
Oh no, sorry, man.
Yeah. So fortunately, this I found out about it a couple of years ago. Fortunately, I went to get some life insurance, and beforehand they did some, took some blood and did some tests and came back and said, "We're not insuring you, and you better go see a doctor."
Oh wow. Well, thank
Uh,
goodness you found it, but I'm sorry you're having to go through those challenges.
yeah, so again, it just forces me to be incredibly healthy to be able to heal and overcome these things, which is, it's a challenge, but I think I'm going to come out the other side with the skills to be healthy, which is, I consider it a skill because it's a very hard thing to do. Most people are not incredibly healthy, and I sort of only have two choices, be incredibly healthy or be incredibly unhealthy. I don't have that middle, where most people
Yeah,
sit.
you're kind of forced to make really make those good decisions that some people can be. Well, and it's a death by a thousand cuts for most people that are well, I'm going to have the box of cookies or this whatever the thing is. It's not the healthier choice, but you don't see it. It takes a lot of those, and then until you're pushed way too far, it's like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have made all those choices now. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
well, hey, I wish we'll definitely wish you the best on that. That's challenging. It sounds like things are moving, and you've got some good ideas, and things are moving somewhat in the right direction. So glad to hear that.
Absolutely, and still making angel investments. So we'll see what the next business I invest in is. Just recently invested in one, so hopefully that goes well, and my portfolio is doing quite well. So
Awesome. Well,
yeah,
good stuff. Well, Sam, thank you so much for taking time to share some tips and tricks with our listeners today. If people would like to get in contact with you, learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way for them to make contact with you?
yeah, definitely on LinkedIn is the best way to contact me. Sam Betts on LinkedIn, um, petroleum and reservoir engineer. Search for that, and you should be able to find me.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, Sam, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everyone. Thanks for listening and tune in. Be sure to like and share this episode and pass it along to your friends. Sam, I really enjoyed getting to know you today and chatting with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me, Nick.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.